one. Welcome to the MadTrio Podcast. This week we have the California Pariah, Jonathan Charney, James, the Fat Man Stevens,
hello,
Rob, the old guy,
from the world famous Rob Charney Show,
and that's it.
Yeah.
Yep. Per usual.
No guests.
No guest, yes. So I'm going to start off with one of the sad news of today. One of the greatest drummers in the last 25 years passed away. Taylor Hawkins, known as the human metronome from the Foo Fighters, passed away in Colombia, apparently. They're not reporting anything like what he died of. They said he had 10 different substances in his heart, and in his
body,
and allegedly
which probably went into his heart.
Yeah, I was gonna say it probably traveled through his heart.
And it says that the forensic doctors were shocked by the size of the drummer's heart at more than 600 grams. I believe that was a factor in Hawkins' quick succumbing to a cocktail of narcotics. Hawkins was found lifeless on Friday. The Attorney General reports confirmed the hotel room in Bogota, where he was staying in advance of the Foo Fighters concert in the area. I was bummed about this. I'm not a big fan of the Foo Fighters. However, I really liked Taylor Hawkins. I never saw an interview where he didn't seem really cool.
Yeah, I was not really a big fan of him either. But I mean, well, the Foo Fighters, I mean, they were okay, but there were a lot of other bands I liked more. Yeah,
I don't even think I could tell you like a song that they've done. I like individual, like I like Dave Grohl individually, and I liked Taylor Hawkins individually because they were both pretty cool to listen to.
Yeah.
I don't know, I was kind of bummed about this. I actually felt sorry for Dave Grohl. First, he lost his lead singer as a drummer. Now he lost his drummer as a lead singer. So yeah. That's harsh.
So we're gonna talk about the elephant of last night.
You mean the Will Smith slap heard?
Yeah, the slap heard around the world.
Wait, hold on. I got the perfect sound effect for this.
So my question, Rob, you've seen it, right?
Yes.
John, you've seen it.
I have.
How legit was that?
Well, isn't it weird?
I'm still on the fence of whether or not it was staged or not.
At first I really thought it was, and then I took the video and played around with it a little bit forward and backwards. I still don't know, although they're saying it was real.
Everybody now...
They are saying it was real.
Yeah, everything right now I've been hearing is they're all saying it was real. One of the reasons is apparently Chris Rock didn't know that Will Smith's wife had that alopecia disease. And allegedly it stemmed from something, according to what I just read, something Chris Rock said 6 years ago. So there was already heat between the two. My favorite part about this whole thing is after a little while he got his Academy Award or whatever it was, is saying God made him for love, and right before that he slapped the taste out of Chris Rock's mouth.
Yeah, so he did release an apology to Chris Rock today.
Oh really? I didn't see that one.
Yeah, I just saw it a few minutes ago.
Breaking news.
Yeah, so I watched it a few times just because I'm still on the fence. It looks like it actually made contact, but I'm thinking like he must have like realized mid-swing what he was doing and held back, because otherwise Chris Rock took that full on like a champ.
Yeah,
and
because he literally took the hit, went right back to it.
And the most amazing thing is Chris Rock's not pressing charges. If this was real, that's amazing to me, because that's assault. And I was telling somebody else.
There's witnesses.
Yeah, there's witnesses.
Just a few.
And being on the Academy Awards, that's civilly and criminally liable right there, because that could damage his reputation. That could be $1 million worth of lawsuits.
Well, the Academy is discussing kicking Will Smith out.
They should take back his Academy Award at least.
They want to remove everything of his, but they're saying that needs to be voted on and blah 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 blah. So we'll see.
Has Will Smith ever won an Academy Award?
No, this is his first.
Because I was going to say, because I've heard, I don't know how much is true, that if the Academy, if you had a bunch of them, the Academy could say, okay, you have to give them all back. Because technically all of them are, I think they're all property of the Academy Awards. None of the awards belong to them, if I remember correctly. Like,
I don't know.
I've been told some of those awards you're not legally allowed to sell. You are required to give them back.
But anyways, the whole thing is that joke was a real softball.
Yeah, I was kind of curious
I've heard jokes being told during the academies, and some of the ones in the past have been pretty bad. This one was a real softball, and Chris Rock even softened the blow with saying, "I love you, Jada."
Yeah.
So,
I have to agree. It is not the worst thing a comedian's ever stood up and said, and they tend to fry each other anyway. And it's like, so it must be a real. If this is true, and it's a real slap, which I think it is, looking at it, it's obviously still a sore spot for both Will and Jada, and maybe that's, I don't know, maybe that's it. Who knows?
I don't know. I don't know. But I just saw, it popped up like immediately, and there's about 500,000 memes already made of it, and I can't. And that was in the first hour. We're probably up to a few million now.
I can't find the quote, but there's Kathy Griffin, the redheaded Democrat, mentioned on Twitter. I actually thought was one of the coolest things I saw her say was basically, as a comedian, you shouldn't have to worry about somebody coming up and like slapping you or getting offended at one of your jokes. And that was, I think that was the harshest rebuke between that and Mick Foley, when Mick Foley said if that was The Rock, Will Smith would not have been doing that.
Oh, no.
And the other one was Dana White. Finally, there's an Oscar show worth watching. And Chris Rock has a chin.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is like, you look at how, he didn't even lose his feet.
No, that was a pretty amazing.
He took it, and when, without even showing he even got slapped, he kept his hands behind his back and kept on going. He's just like, okay, we're rolling with this. Will Smith just slapped the shit out of me, but all right.
Yeah, no, he did it right. As far as taking that slap, he did fine. So
yeah,
even so much doo doo.
Oh, we got another guest in here talking. Hi.
So
hey, Paul.
So I actually had a story.
Said hi to you, Paul. We're interrupting the show so my wife can wave at everybody. Jeez.
I found a story for Ryan, and since he's not here, this is from Eyewitness News, New York. Body ejected from hearse transporting van during the New Jersey crash. A body was ejected from a hearse transport van in a 5-vehicle crash in New Jersey, police say. The body was being moved from a hospital to funeral home on Route 17, southbound in Paramus, when the crash. Police say the hearse came to pick up a body so it could go to its destination. I just couldn't imagine. It was a crash so hard it flew out of a hearse.
Well, I always thought those things were strapped down.
Well, they're supposed to be, but who knows? Maybe this guy didn't strap down didn't tighten
the straps.
But
I don't know.
Let's see. It's unclear what caused the crash, but a horse trailer was involved. What is this, Kentucky? Police say the horse was taken out of the trailer, was eating grass on the side of the road, and was put on a new horse trailer.
What? Oh, so wait a minute.
So apparently,
the body wasn't in the horse trailer, was it?
No, it says hearse.
Okay.
That's why I was like, wait a minute, where did the horse come from?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. All of a sudden, you're talking about a horse. Is it a horse or a hearse, John? Maybe you're not reading it right.
I should have found the Mr. Ed theme song.
Why?
So, Rob, I got a question for you.
All right, go ahead.
Did you know that if you call a police department or any law enforcement agency, they are willing to come out and test your meth to find out if it's authentic?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Sure, come on. Hey, I don't believe this is real.
A Florida man called the cops to make sure the meth that he possessed was real. He bought the drug from a man behind a bar,
Oh Lord.
and he was afraid because he'd been duped before by buying what he thought was meth, and it turned out to be bath salts. So this guy called the Hernando County Sheriff's Office and asked them to come out and test his meth. Well, the substance was actually meth, and he got arrested.
Yeah.
So what state was this in again?
Florida.
I'd love to hear phone call when he calls up. And I'm imagining some dude who has like a really deep South accent going,
I don't care about that. I want to hear about the radio call to the responding officers.
Well, I just
hey, can you go check this guy's meth out?
Yeah.
I just want to hear the phone.
What?
I just want to hear the phone call. It's like some guy from King of the Hill, like, y'all, I got this meth and I want to make sure, type of thing.
Oh boy. Well,
hey, if anybody's out there and you have that recording on a scanner call from like the police, can you send it our way? I seriously agree with James. I want to hear them go, Adam 12.
Yeah, I want to hear the conversation between the officers and dispatch.
Yeah,
look, it's always been a joke in law enforcement that, they don't really only catch the dumb ones. So, I mean, hey, come test my meth. Yeah, I'll be glad to. We won't tell you we're going to arrest you, depending on the outcome, but
I just want to hear it because you hear 1 Adam 12. Please go to such and such address. Blah blah blah. Like, what? Can you repeat control?
Yeah. Is somebody really this dumb? Yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
Never underestimate the power of stupid people.
I guess. I mean, that's just yeah. I don't know. People are amazing out there.
Yeah.
Keep going, people.
Oh, I saw a thing on a website. I was looking up like what movies were coming out, and this came across that made me laugh. This is how I realized I was getting fucking old. A forgotten Brad Pitt movie is only on Netflix for a few more days. It's A River Runs Through It. Is that really forgotten?
Probably.
I don't remember it.
I was like, that's like, seriously? I'm the only one who like remembers that movie, apparently. It's like that. I just kind of shocked. Released in 92 by Columbia Pictures, is directed by Robert Redford, Brad Pitt's first big movie after
Oh, that's right.
Yada, yada.
I remember about it.
I just was shocked that somehow I was like, wow, that's I just kind of shocked me. I didn't realize.
I was never really interested in that movie.
I've seen bits and pieces of it that I can remember.
Meh. But I mean, it did get Brad Pitt to get better roles that came out after that, but whatever. So, to go back on the Russia and Ukraine front, you know that Russia is a few $1 billion in debt.
Well,
and
that isn't much.
And they were considered, well, I'm sure there's a lot more, but with all their funds being tied up and have different accounts, frozen at the moment of somewhere around the worth of $640 billion that they can't access right now.
Right.
Wow.
They are looking at trying to come up with funds to make a payment on April 4th for all this money that they owe. Poor Russia, right? How about Putin just sell something?
So
since we were talking about last week about how Vladimir Putin is worth $900 billion or something like that.
I bet he's worth more than that. They say he's the world's richest man. Isn't Elon Musk worth? No, yeah,
$1 trillion.
For some reason,
yeah, we're talking billions. Right. We're talking billions, John.
Yeah, 100 billion. Yeah. The other thing I heard was interesting is apparently they were demanding countries in Europe who get their gas to pay in rubles, and most of the countries told them to pound sand. And then I saw another one say they're gonna use Bitcoin, and I'm like, fuck you, Russia. Just what I hear. Another reason the government's gonna try to tell people not to use Bitcoin. You're funding the terrorist Russians. Pinko commies.
Right. You can't Can't do crypto because it's funding the Russian whatever. Hey, dogs.
Oh,
Sorry.
the dog. I was like, what was that?
That's just what I need.
I have wild animals in this room. Gosh.
That's just what I need is my super conservative friends going, see, I knew the pinkos were in it. It's like, seriously? You're 30 years out of date, pal.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there he is.
Gone.
What? I'm
Oh,
gone?
no, he's gone again.
Oh.
There he is. Yeah, you disappeared and came back and then froze again.
no.
And then, yeah.
So what we're talking about, Russia, when Nokia pulled out of Russia, let's see what this is from NewYorkTimes.com. When Nokia pulled out of Russia, a vast surveillance system remained. The Finnish company played a key role in enabling Russia's cyber spying documents showing raising questions of corporate responsibility. Nokia said this month that it would stop its sale in Russia and denounce invasion of Ukraine, but the Finnish company didn't mention what it was leaving behind: equipment and software connected to the government's most powerful tools for digital surveillance to the nation's largest telecommunications network.
Huh.
So what do you think? Is there going to be, I know all these corporations are jumping for joy to get away from the Russian stink. Do you think this is going to cause any issues in the future?
Well,
No.
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want to give Russia a pass and everything. And every time
Yeah.
Putin rattles the nuclear option situation, everybody shudders and they go, oh, he's going to nuke Ukraine. He's not going to nuke Ukraine. He wants it.
Well,
He's not going to nuke it.
Well, did you hear? So what I heard, I actually heard somebody on a local radio station talk about that, and it said, and he was a military analyst, and he was mentioning when they talk about nukes, it's tactical nukes. So he's saying, don't think of like Fat Man and Little Boy when they bombed Japan. Think of small briefcase-sized nukes that can take out city blocks instantaneously. And they were saying this is like a surgical strike, but with a nuke. And that's what the reports this guy was that they were gonna use. But the fact that he rattled it and you had collectively the rest of the world back down is amazing to me. Like nobody challenged him on that. They just said, "Oh, okay. Don't hurt us. We're innocent."
Yeah. I don't know. The whole thing, just I hope for the poor innocent people that are being killed. You know, that's the worst part of this whole thing. We've got all these, people that are just trying to live their lives and do their thing. And, they're dying over there because of whatever reason Putin wants Ukraine for. And it's sad at this day and age that we have a situation like that, where we basically have dictators, and not just Putin, but other countries as well, where you have dictators that control large swaths of land, controlling everybody's life while they sit fat on the hog. And it's absolutely disgusting at this time, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Do you know what the craziest thing is? I've heard this comparison a couple of times in the modern age, and it was passé when I heard it as a kid, and it's passé now, but I think it's truer than not. It's the 1984 comparison. Because with technology now, like whether you're talking about Nokia giving Russia the ability to spy on everybody's cell phone signals, or you talk about the NSA and the FBI, you couldn't control everything. I mean, look what they do with you're going to compare Fox News and MSNBC and all these. You control the narrative so much that instead of looking at the truth, people are reading off talking points. Like I remember at some point when the Muslim population of France was having some sort of hubbub in France, Fox News, Sean Hannity would say, there's no-go zones in France. If you're a French citizen, you cannot go there. Government won't let you. And then Fox News was, the more liberal news was saying the exact opposite. It's like, oh no, there's no problem, as the place is burning down right behind them.
And your point is?
That we live in an era of dictators. That if we don't do something, and we as the free world, if there is such a thing at this point, I'm definitely not tax free. We're gonna get in trouble, and the problem I think is we're all joining in, all collectively holding hands while skipping into Facebook as their meta universe controls the world. I don't know. I just think it's scary. Like, I was for all this technology. I remember when Web 1 started, and you hear all these tech heads that nobody remembers saying how brilliant and beautiful it is when they have this pie in the sky. It'll unite the world and an information universal brotherhood. And now all they're saying is we should have disconnected the fucking thing. Literally, I've heard some of them say that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
other than streaming stuff on it, I wouldn't really care that much if they got rid of it.
yeah, yeah. I understand. So the whole www World Wide Web situation has been a boon and a bust all the same. It's like anything else when technology first comes out. It's always open to abuse in one way, shape, or another. And yeah, there's going to be good and bad. I mean, it's just it's the human race and the world we live in. We have good and bad, and it's no different for whatever we may be. I mean, an automobile can be used for good and bad. The World Wide Web can be used for bad as well as good. So,
Yeah.
Talk about bad. I don't know if this is a thing, but I'm not surprised they can do it. I heard somewhere along the line was asking Tesla to turn off all their cars in Russia and Ukraine. I can't imagine that. That scares the hell out of me. I know they can do it. With
do you think they have the ability to do that?
I bet they do. So I heard somebody in a TikTok video, which sounds ridiculous, but he was mentioning that Tesla's not a car company; they're a data company. That every mile, everywhere you drive, they're logging data from where the road surface is to how you're driving. And so if they're doing that, why not? What's turning off a vehicle? OnStar does it. Like if somebody steals a car with OnStar, they'll turn it off for the cops.
That's true. So
yeah, I mean that is kind of, it's almost like the cars in Demolition Man.
Right.
What, that movie is groundbreaking and futuristic.
For what they came up with at the time, it was pretty neat, actually. Yeah,
but
I don't know about Taco Bell. Remember we talked about this before?
Yeah, we have. I still want to know about the 3 seashells, but
that's
whatever.
Right. We don't know yet.
It's kind of scary it feels like we're turning into the Demolition Man.
So let me ask you this: I assume a Tesla's been repossessed somewhere, or is it an attempted repossession has been somewhere? Do you think Tesla has the ability to disable that particular car?
Oh yeah, I guarantee they have the ability to.
So we need to get somebody on the show that's had their car repossessed, their Tesla repossessed, and tell us, did it not function? Was that a real thing? Be interesting.
No, it just drove away. It just started up in their driveway and drove home.
Good point. Yeah, Tesla call home, and it just went right on back to their showroom or whatever. I guess it's an interesting. Never looked at it that way before. It's an interesting thing. It's kind of scary. I guess.
I don't know. I just don't like this. I mean, that's right up there with Apple saying the new in the future the iPhone might be a service. We have to pay a monthly fee for your phone.
Well, they're talking at like the kind of the lease situation where it's instead of owning it, you lease it, and you lease it for so many years, and then the lease is up, you turn it in, you get another one and do it again.
Oh man, that just screams bad idea.
Yeah, but in some way you're doing that now. Your phones get outdated, so within 2 years you already have an outdated phone. They keep adding newer and better whatever.
I hold on to phones for 4 to 5 years, but the other thing is if you don't make a payment on your cell phone, it takes a hit on your credit card. Imagine what happens if it's a phone that's a service that you pay monthly for that you're renting.
Wouldn't be any different. Same thing.
I'm sorry. And also the other question, would it be, could you turn off services like location services? Because if I was Apple and you were renting that phone from me, you would not be able to turn that off. I want to know where my property is at all times.
Well, I didn't think about that.
You got to really pay attention to the user agreements that you're signing, John, because they probably won't even let it be your property.
Well, yeah, no, it's not. But I mean, you think of it like when you're leasing a car, you think, oh, that's my car. You don't normally think, oh, technically that's a car that I'm renting for 50,000 miles or whatever your term is.
Well, in a way, when you buy a car anyway, it's a loan and it doesn't own, you don't own it. The bank owns it.
Yeah, but
Right?
you have the option of paying it off, though. I mean, if
Well,
it's
you could.
but if
Well,
this
you
is
can pay off a lease too, John.
I will be curious to see what the terms of service are. I just don't like. I don't know. Maybe this is me, a curmudgeon. I'm now an old man, and I hate this stupid shit. Let's go back to the days of 8-track. No, I don't want to hear that thump in the middle of the song. Records, gramophones. The old guy remembers that.
Okay, if you say so.
So, anybody have any more stories? I got another one I actually think is really awesome.
I have a Melanie's listicle.
Oh, we need a jingle. We need a Melanie's
Yeah, we'll have
listicle.
to put one together. Yeah, we're calling them Melanie's listicles now. So
Pay attention to Melanie.
This list of stuff. So, there's a number of them in this particular list I'm going to read about. It has to do with famous consumer brands that no longer exist. And so I started compiling some of the things that no longer exist. And I started out with car companies. And these are fairly current car companies. All these cars, many of these cars are still on the road today, but the actual owners of these manufacturing companies no longer exist. So we can start out with things like Pontiac is no longer around. Mercury is no longer around. Saturn's no longer around. Oldsmobile's no longer around. Plymouth is no longer around. American Motor Company, AMC is no longer around.
Saturn.
Hummer.
No, Hummers are making a comeback.
Yeah. Well, but that's under their electric cars. I talked about Saturn already. I said Saturn. And Hummer, and Hummer's coming back as an electric car. But you look at some of these. Well, no, I'm talking about current. I mean, you can go back into the start of automobiles, and there's an awful lot of failed car companies out there. That's nothing new, but these are all fairly current, and every one of these cars are still on the road, many of them. But if you think about it, you kind of go, Pontiacs, they're still out there, right? Mercuries, you don't see as many Mercuries anymore, but there's still some. Saturns, there's a ton of.
Eagle.
Oldsmobiles.
It's like, was it the Eagle Talon? Was it there was a new Chrysler car that came out in early 90s?
Yeah.
Like the Eagle Talon?
Well, okay. Well, I'm talking about things like, Plymouth, right? Mercury. In this, I don't, so,
you mentioned it. Yeah, I really haven't heard of those companies in a long time.
Yeah, they've, even though in all of our lifetimes that they, those cars were producing cars for you, and even you youngsters, they're still around. So and that's just cars. So we go along, and I started looking at other things that were relevant not less than 10 years ago. Borders books.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember Crystal Pepsi?
Yes.
Yeah, that was out. You guys were kind of youngish then, but
still. They made it.
Okay.
A little bit ago.
So, but hold on. Pepsi Company is still out.
Right. Okay, so now...
See, I'm looking at... Now, that's just a product line that they had.
Right. So I started out with car manufacturers, companies that, they had sub-companies because, a lot of...
Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay. So in this case now, we're going to get into, some of the... Borders Books has not been around. So that's a big company there.
Yeah. I got a soft drink for you. Orbit.
Yeah. You guys, Orbit was only around for about a year. It was that bottle drink that had those balls floating around
like the floating
inside of it.
gelatin.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, I kind of liked them.
Yeah, same.
But people kind of went, but here's how about Pan American Airlines? Pan Am? Guys remember Pan Am? Probably don't.
They're gone?
TWA.
I don't really fly that much, but they're gone?
Yeah, they're gone. Huh. Yeah. Pan Am's not been around. Yeah, TWA's not been around. There's been different things. Then we look at different things like Microsoft. Do you remember Microsoft Zune?
Yes, the failed music player.
Yeah, it was like an iPod.
Oh, yeah.
Put out by Microsoft. I had one. It worked. I mean, they were okay. And then things like if we want to, we were talking about World Wide Web issues. How you guys remember Netscape?
Yes.
Netscape,
Mosaic
Netscape was one of the first browsers out there. Yeah, that was before there was Netscape was out there. That's no longer around.
Are people still using Bing?
I use it as a homepage.
I do. Ask Jeeves is gone. That's another one on my list.
I use Bing as a homepage because of the picture, and then I use DuckDuckGo.
Yeah. I know this one broke John's heart, was under Worlds of Wonder. Do you remember that, John? What Worlds of Wonder? What was its main product? Teddy Ruxpin.
Oh yes, yeah. I was.
Yeah.
And they some Wicked Toys, another toy company, bought it, and they made the horrible decision to have the eyes on the new Teddy Ruxpin be LCD screens because kids would look right into them and blind themselves.
That's not good. How about photomats? Do you guys remember photomats?
No.
So those were the little drive-in booths where you took your film from your cameras.
Okay.
And you would drive in, drop your film off.
I knew what he was talking about, but no, I don't remember those. I remember like the kiosks they had in like some of the like Rite Aid type of stores.
John, you're not that young anymore. These were out when you were a kid. I hate to tell you this.
No, but I remember more the ones that they had. They were like, you could get your things in like 48 hours and you would drop them off in like the Rite Aid or whatnot. But I don't remember the photomat booth.
Photomats, a lot of them, they started trying to do remember the 1 hour photos where you would go and you would get, film developed in under an hour.
Yeah.
Right? That was a big thing for a long time. And then now we've got some other companies, things like Circuit City. They're not around.
Incredible Universe.
Yeah. There's even some older brands that were around forever, like Woolworths. I don't know if you guys remember Woolworths. They were like what's called a five and dime.
Oh
no, I knew what they were, but I never knowingly went to one. I might have gone when I was a kid. I didn't realize that's what it was.
You were just dragged by the hand.
Weren't they more,
James, we're going in here.
I thought they were more in the Northwest and, the South and Northeast more than in this area.
Now, Woolworths was in Santa Monica, so I don't know. I don't know if that fits your whole idea of geography of the United States, but no, they were around.
I want to take a real quick break right in the middle of Melanie's listicle to talk about our amazing sponsor, Audacity. ODDASSITY, the unforgettable party game for mischievous people. For 10% off your final order, I'm having somebody knocking on my office door. For 10% off your final order, use
I have
MadTrio.
Dogs, but you've got a kid running into your office. Your 5-year-old child wants his daddy.
Use MadTrio, all one word, all caps, for 10% off your final order. That's Audacity, the unforgettable party game for mischievous people at ODDASSITY.com. Audacity.
I guess Jonathan and I are going to have to start doing this back in the studio. We can't seem to get away from dogs or kids. So Jonathan's going to. So, we were talking about companies. This list is interspersed a little bit between products and companies, that type of thing. And so and I should have probably done a better job of straightening out this list. But do you remember Pudding Pops, James?
Yes.
Pudding Pops. Yeah, those haven't been around. That was a General Mills product. Those haven't been around for a while. And then some of the companies, like one of the big busts for an internet company that tried to make a big splash was Pets.com. Do you remember Pets.com? They had the sock puppet, and that was that big company. That. They spent millions in advertising. I think they even had a advertising campaign for a Super Bowl, and boy, they flopped big time. I mean, they did.
But they were for sock puppets.
No,
they did their mascot. Wasn't that Pets.com was the mascot?
Yeah, that was their mask. Yeah, they spent a ton of money. So this is going to be really hard now to do a podcast, especially with the wider range this mic actually has.
Oh, poor. He's obviously having a good time.
It happens.
It happens.
I've got mine right next to me, but he's got his tablet.
I'm wondering how this is going to show up. Because I've been muting it a lot. We'll see.
Yeah, that's funny. I'm still in my listicles. I've still got more to go.
Keep going.
Yeah, we got things like Aloha Airlines. That was the airline that started basically started California to Hawaii. That's no longer around. Good old place that John used to work, Hollywood Video. It's gone.
So most video stores are gone, like Blockbusters and
Yeah,
everything.
Blockbusters is gone. No more Blockbusters. That's gone. Stores like KB Toys, remember KB Toys? They're gone,
Yeah.
right? And Toys R Us, although they're still kind of there. They actually opened a new store not too long ago. They're not around anymore either. One of the big sports supply companies, Sports Chalet. I have a good friend that used to be one of their top managers that got out, had to go find a new job after that one shut down. Companies like Tower Records, good old Tower Records. They got
Yeah, that was kind of sad.
yeah.
Suncoast.
Yeah.
It's I miss Suncoast. However, it was the most expensive place to buy anything. It was either easy like 10-20% markup on everything.
Yeah, but even then they couldn't make it. I mean, think about it that way.
Yeah. But I mean, like, if you wanted to find specific things, you went to Suncoast.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got on my list. Well, we talked about Ask Jeeves.
Yeah.
I know that was a search engine, and I think they started back in 1997. It was one of the earlier ones, but kind of an odd. Even you ask people about it, most people never even heard of it. So, a couple of food products like James. Do you remember Heinz made a thing called Easy Squirt?
Was that green purple stuff?
Yes, it's the green purple.
Yeah,
there was another color too. There was green, anyway. Purple, and blue, I think.
Blue. Yeah, blue, purple, pink. Yeah, green, purple, blue, pink. Yeah, it didn't last very long, but I guess the kids in the beginning liked it. It was somewhere around 2006, and it finally went out. Tab Cola.
Yep.
Remember Tab? Tab was one of the first diet drinks that I can remember. I mean that went back in about the early 60s, 1960s as it came out. And, way back then. Things like a couple stores that went out. Pier 1 Imports. That's fairly recent, right? That started in 1962, which is kind of sad. They went out. They couldn't make it.
Did they sell junk then too?
Yeah, it was always kind of odd stuff, I will admit.
The hippie haven.
Yeah. How about Mervyn's? You guys remember where a lot of the women would remember?
Did you say Montgomery Ward's?
Actually, my mom and my grandma both worked at Mervyn's, so I know Mervyn's.
Yeah.
Well, I actually just opened a shirt last year I had from them because I needed a work like a dress shirt, and I bought one there 20 years ago.
Yeah. So they're no longer. And then some of the bigger like do you guys ever remember Minolta cameras? Minolta made a line. They spun the company off, but they made a line of 35 millimeter cameras and full body cameras and lenses and all that. Matter of fact, my uncle was a big Minolta camera person. He had lots of lenses and different camera bodies and all that he really liked. They went out in about 2006. Virgin America. Who knew that a Branson company could actually go out?
Oh, Virgin Records.
Yeah, Virgin Records. Now, what did I hear about Virgin? What was the other? Well, it's not my list, so I'm not even going to talk about. But anyway, that was my listicles, my Melanie listicles for this show. A lot of different things to think about. So there you go.
Did you mention
that just disappeared over the years?
And the time, did you mention Montgomery Ward's?
No, but that's another one. I mean, this is a quick compile. I mean, I could probably compile a list that would have taken up the whole hour show, really, if you think.
Oh, I'm sure you could have things that have gone.
Burma shave.
But I was just trying to think of things in all of our lifetimes that and still fairly relevant. Yeah. That have gone out. So. All right, can't say I didn't do my homework for the day.
Yeah.
I was trying to think
my stories.
I was trying to think of like technology that's not around, but that's so much like VHS tapes, the alternative DVD formats that came out. I'll have to.
I mean,
there's so much
we
stuff.
could always. There is a lot.
Well, if we're going on that, I mean, we would spend a show just talking about that. Yeah. I mean, media that's gone in and out of just different forms of it. I mean,
I I
Laserdisc,
I think in
Yeah.
our
you know,
lifetime,
8 tracks.
I think in our
Yeah.
lifetime the biggest change would have been there's no more iPod. That doesn't exist.
Yeah, you know, and
Eh,
it's still kind of a bummer because to be honest with you, I really liked my iPod and it was really simplistic and it worked.
You
And you
know,
know, one
I
of the
did
things,
too.
and you know, one of the things that gets me, so I listen to music on my phone, but one of the things that, and maybe I'm doing something wrong. I have an iPhone and I'm listening to my iTunes, but if I get into a spot where there's no cell coverage and certainly no Wi-Fi, my music's gone.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, wait a minute. I mean, if I wanted to listen to music on an airplane, you know, if they didn't have the Wi-Fi going on airplanes, what they mostly have now, you can't,
Well,
you lose it.
there's a couple of ways to do it. They'll tell you to use their offline mode. Like if you pay for subscriptions, I think they'll do that. You can still through
Yeah.
iTunes, you can still download music. So there's ways to do it, but I like the idea of having a separate
Yeah,
music player.
yeah. You know, so that's what I miss. I miss that one functionality because you know when I'm out my property out here, I'm on my tractor and I put my, you know, my earphones in and
Yeehaw.
block out the I want to have my music with me and I go down in my lower, you know, acreage down there and I lose it and it kind of pisses me off.
So
Anyway.
because I think that was
So
the
much for
biggest,
Rob's rant.
Well, I think that was the biggest change is the MP3 player. Because if you could talk about video and audio formats, those go in and out of things. But I think the MP3 player was really big for a long time, or at least a short period of time.
Yeah.
So something I think is cool. This is on CBSNews.com. Senator Tammy Duckworth pushes for memorial to working women of World War II. I didn't realize there was no statues to like Rosie the Riveter.
Well, let me ask you this. Are there anything set up for the men that stayed home and worked into the war effort?
Not
You
that
don't ever hear about that. And my father worked in the shipyards as an electrician all throughout the war, supporting the war process, but they never got anything. They're not considered veterans. They got no benefits. You know, they were pivotal in it as well, but they never got any recognition.
I think the only reason the reason why the women are getting some sort of recognition is because it was such a change in societal norms.
And you know what? I don't get me wrong. I believe they need something like this. I think we should recognize the all the hard work that the women put in and everything is sacrificed. But not only the Rosie the Riveters, but the housewives that had to deal with rationing and still coming up with an idea for food to feed the kids that were still there, and all the hard work that all the women put in throughout the country during that period of time was of great sacrifice. And I think they all need to
Agreed.
be patted
Yeah.
on the back and rewarded for what they did, including the Rosie the Riveters out there that worked their asses off as well. So they all deserve kudos as far as I'm concerned.
So let me see. We all know Rosie the Riveter, but I think most people are surprised when they hear they haven't honored them. Duckworth told CBS News in an exclusive interview. The Illinois Democrats sent a letter Friday to West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, who chairs the Committee on Energy, yada, yada, yada. She reintroduced the bipartisan legislation last May known as the Women Who Worked on the Home Front World War II Memorial Act.
Oh, good. I hope something comes of that.
I thought this was cool, and I actually agreed that there needs to be something for the people that weren't in the war, men and male and female that were working or were not. I mean, that was such a different part of American society when people had to take on different roles. Matter of fact, I would be cool with even like it's the first time I remember in history where they talked about having African Americans, specifically Detroit and other major cities, that were having decent jobs, who actually allowed them to move up financially into different, get out of poverty and stuff like that. It was during World War II when they were at the factory jobs too. I mean, if they
Absolutely.
I think if you're going to give recognition, I think it would be cool to give everybody some sort of recognition, even though I don't know. It's really hard when you think about it because everybody thinks about World War II. You think of the grinder, which was combat. You think of like, the area in France. I can't remember the name of, or Iwo Jima or Peleliu. And so it's really easy, I think, to get lost in that. Even though I think getting lost in that is more important in some ways.
Well, that's the horror of wars. That's that side of it, which is, you know, really awful. But yeah, it's not none of it's good, and everybody, it shows you in a war, a conflict such as World War II, everybody was involved. I mean, you had to be. You even if you weren't in the front lines fighting, you were, supporting the troops, and you had all the people bringing food, cargo, weapons, ammunition, everything. All the sailors that lost their lives on the ships, supplying all the things, all the merchant seamen, all of that, right? I mean, the whole thing. So it just goes on and on and on.
So I think it's interesting to see as one of my favorite things, if there's a favorite thing about World War II, as time goes on, what's remembered of it, I think is fascinating. And what's forgotten. Like I'm enjoying that because World War One, you ask people about, almost nobody younger than me seems to know about World War One, and how it was absolutely hellish. In some ways, worse than World War Two. If you think about
none
it.
of it's good.
Why?
Yeah.
Why would they not know about World War One?
Ask a young person today, let alone, let's back off from World War One. Let's ask a young person today about Korea or Vietnam and see what they know. Probably not much. You want to go back further and say, hey, do you know anything about the Civil War? Okay, maybe a little bit. Revolutionary War. Well, kind of, because the history is taught so different in schools today from what I'm seeing. It'll be interesting to see what my grandson, when he gets to that point, what they actually teach him or not. Because to be honest with you, I don't really know.
And I learned more from World War II and all these other wars from my personal interest in history than anything in school. I mean, you basically learn the greatest hits, which is you learn Revolutionary War, Civil War, World War II, Korea and Vietnam are skipped over. This is when I was in school. Korea and Vietnam are like a bookmark. And then, but mostly everything I lost was more history. Like you're talking about the Spartans, and I learned more of that world history. That was
so. I think history is lost on the youth. To be honest with you, I think it's hard to relate when you're a young kid. I think it's hard to relate, and then. One of the problems I remember complaining about history, even in high school, I remember complaining about the fact that you had some teachers that all they wanted to do was pound dates into your head instead of actualities and stuff. So you have good teachers and bad teachers, and that's always been the case. And if you get a great history teacher in whatever class that may be, that'll spark the interest. But you've got to have that history teacher that's really interested in trying to get that interest into the youth today. So.
Yeah. I remember I was at one of the local subways, and I was wearing a VFW shirt. And I'm not going to break that down for our idiot audience member.
Yep, I don't know.
If you don't know, you can look it up. Anyways, so I'm sitting there. And I was just there ordering something at a Subway, and this younger guy, I'd say younger guy, he was only maybe about, I'd say maybe 5 to 8 years younger than me at the time, and I was early 30s. And he looks at me and goes, "What's a foreign war?"
Ah, okay.
And I stared at him. And I thought, how dick do I want to be right now?
James is going. I could see James's mind working away, right? He's going,
and I just stopped and I just said, any war that's not fought in the U.S. And he stopped and thought about it for a little while. He goes, okay. And just went about his business. But I'm like, I almost thought about just being like, any war outside of the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, and the Spanish-American War.
Yeah, well, would have been fun, James, to ask him. By the way, I would have been fun to ask him and say, by the way, can you name one for me? Just can you think of one, maybe? Possible?
Nowadays, I think nowadays they talk about the Civil War because they bring up somewhere along the lines, they'll bring up slavery, and that's when Civil War was brought up to me.
Huh. What's got to do with a foreign war?
Well, I meant we talk about the differences between the two.
We're talking foreign wars.
Well, you're missing my
Not
point,
Civil War, John.
because if he doesn't know what foreign wars is, does he don't what a domestic war is?
Well, yeah, that part's true enough. Who knows what he knows? But I guess my point is like James, like I said, I could just see James holding back, just shaking. Oh, what do I say to this guy?
Yeah, I was like, I'm like, I didn't really understand exactly how he couldn't figure that out. Foreign war. It just kind of sounds like something that doesn't need to be explained.
I'm
Yeah.
not particularly surprised because kids have different things in their mind and they care about different things. I think it's
Yeah, but as James said, he's not really a kid.
how old was he?
Yeah, he was probably the early 20s.
Hey, you're a kid. If you want to
Now
talk
you
about
say that.
well, yes, now because I'm fucking old. But if you want to talk about 25, you're not fully developed until like 25 years old with your Q Ryan voice, your prefrontal cortex. But still, 20 years old. Let's be honest. 20 years old now and 20 years old in 1911 are completely different. 20 years old in 1911, you were a damn adult. You lived hard. Versus nowadays, 20 years old people are still trying to decide if they want Cheerios with their milk. They still got spots. It's just the way society is.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Just
And that's stereotyping, by the way, because I've met 20-year-olds who have their heads screwed on correctly. But I think 20. I just think that's still pretty young now. Because for a lot of people, that's just out of high school or just into college. They're still, this is the first time they've been away from mom and daddy.
So you're justifying their lack of understanding of the words foreign war.
No, I'm saying it's the fact I doubt they even thought about it. I doubt they gave it a second thought. I think unless you're somebody like us who are interested in that, I think
we lost James.
Unless you're somebody who is interested in that, I don't think anybody really cares.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you might be right.
Because that's the only thing I could think of. Because I was into history. I know James was into history. I know Rob was into history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
if it's not your picadillo or in your bailiwick, I could totally see knowing more. I don't know. Name a pop star. Being interested in other things. I know people who could tell you cars from 1938 and make and model, but couldn't tell you the difference between a bolt carrier group and a buttstock. Or, so.
Well, that's true enough for things that you're interested in that aren't world renowned type stuff like such as war. So, I mean, I understand where you're coming with that, John. It's just, it's a sign of the times, I guess.
Yeah, because James and I, you think about foreign. Okay, what's foreign? Okay, we're domestic. Is this foreign? 100%. That's what we would be thinking. But I can totally see somebody not thinking about it.
Well, I mean, but if it says foreign war, like what? I just don't know exactly what he was confused about. Yeah. What was he thinking about? Was he thinking about, was Taylor Swift, eligible for me to date or something? I have no freaking idea. He didn't look like a really.
Was he thinking about the band Foreigner? I mean,
maybe I just don't. I don't know. I could have been. I don't even think he knows what Foreigner
that band's
is.
too old.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I don't think he knows. The band Foreigner, honestly.
I just think it comes down to people not thinking, and it's just outside of whatever they're into.
Yeah.
I mean, personally. I mean, I'm thinking about it like, at 15 years old or younger, you asked me what a foreign war was. It's like, oh, okay, that's not here. What was World War II about? I could tell you that. I couldn't tell you exactly where a tie rod is in a car or what's Taylor Swift's latest date, person she's dating.
Yeah. Well. Okay.
Yeah.
So much for that. We're knocking the Utes again.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what? You did that. I think every older generation does that, and I think since the older millennials, which is technically James and I, got screwed, I feel that I can be a curmudgeon since I've been one since I was 20. So,
So
Elon
take
Musk
that.
is what's that?
So take that.
So a quick lightning round. Elon Musk is thinking about making a rival to Twitter, which will probably get him yelled at by the SEC. Microplastics found in human blood from beverages, bottles, packaged foods. Plastic bags were detected for the first time in human blood, according to a new study. No shocker. And that's pretty much what's left on my
We're
tabs.
good. We did a show. We can wrap her
Yep.
up. Another one.
So, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen, for the California Pride, the fat man, and one old guy, as always, thank you for listening.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.